The Batmobile is both a heavily armored tactical assault vehicle and a customized pursuit and capture vehicle that is used by Batman in his fight against crime. One crazier than the next, these cars literally made movie history, surprising adults and children alike with technology. Buzzsaws, machine guns, lasers, rockets, radar, onboard computers, and everything else a superhero could need. The first car from Batman was a Ford called Lincoln Futura built in 1954. The body was built in Italy, by Ghia. The car's gadgets included a circular saw mounted on the hood. The car was accessorized with lasers, rockets, an onboard telephone, radar, a monitor, a computer, and a police beacon. It was also able to turn 180 degrees and was equipped with a smoke and nail emitter to deter pursuers. Distinct in its style, the 1989 Batmobile was built on a Chevrolet Impala chassis, powered by a Chevrolet V8 engine, was fitted with the intake from Rolls-Royce jet. Turbine blades and the nosepiece were sourced from a British Harrier fighter jet. Surrounding the jet engine are sweeping front fenders, giving the front of the vehicle an intimidating presence. Inside the two-seat cockpit featured an aircraft-like instrument panel, a passenger's side monitor, self-diagnostics system, CD recorder, and voice command recognition system. On film, the 1989 Batmobile was equipped with bombs, forward-facing Browning machine guns, side-mounted disc launchers, and chassis-mounted shin breakers. To avoid capture, the Batmobile was also equipped with oil slick dispensers, smoke emitters, and a Batmissile mode that reconfigures the axis and wheels to fit through narrow openings. The third Warner Bros. Batman movie was released in 1995, Batman Forever. The new Batmobile was designed by Barbara Lang. The car recalled previous Batmobiles with a split cockpit canopy, separate fenders, and jet exhaust. The roof fin is also culled from some of the earliest Batmobiles, but it can be opened into a V shape for a more contemporary look. In another unique design feature, the wheels were made to keep the Bat logos upright when the wheels are turning. The two-seat cockpit featured a rear-view monitor, system diagnostics display, and custom gauge cluster. If Batman is pursued, the Batmobile had two primary avoidance features. First, it had the ability to lock all four wheels perpendicular to its centerline, to allow for quick sideways movement. Second, for more dire circumstances, the Batmobile could reroute the jet exhaust to under its front end and launch grappling cables at overhead anchors. With the nose up and the lines in place, the car could climb sheer vertical surfaces like building walls as if it were driving on flat ground. Despite its many defenses, the life of this Batmobile was relatively short. It was destroyed partway through Batman Forever when the Riddler deposited a sack full of explosives in the cockpit. Batman and Robin was the fourth and final installment in the arc that started in 1989 with Batman. Joel Schumacher once again directed and Barbara Lang was still the production designer. According to Lang, the inspiration from the car came from older racing roadsters like the Jaguar D-Type and Delahaye 165. The new Batmobile was about 30 feet long, one of the longest Batmobiles in the entire history of the car, despite being a single-seater, and road-tested to 140 miles per hour. Like the Batman Forever car, this Batmobile featured light-up wheels and engine panels. Gadgets were scaled way back in this Batmobile. Bladed fins were mounted at the leading edges of the fins and nose, and the single-seat cockpit featured a two-way video conferencing screen, radar unit, and Redbird cutoff switch. It is somewhat unclear as to whether or not this Batmobile was destroyed during its movie. Mr. Freeze shot the underside of the car for several seconds with his freeze gun, and when the car crash-landed, it looked pretty fatal. However, in the next scene in the Batcave, the car is sitting back on its pedestal looking whole again. After 8 years, Batman returned to the big screen for Batman Begins. Rather than a sequel or prequel to the previous Warner Bros. Movies, Begins was considered a restart, effectively starting the Batman movie universe from scratch. Among the new ideas to appear in this movie was an all-new Batmobile, designed by Crowley and Nolan and built by movie car engineers Chris Corbould and Andy Smith. Their primary focus was to make this Batmobile as real as possible. At 9 feet wide and 15 feet long, the car weighed in at 2.5 tons but was still capable of 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 6 seconds with a top speed of 110 miles per hour. Thanks to its unique design, it was also capable of making unassisted jumps up to 30 feet. Primary power for this Batmobile came from a 500 HP Chevy 350 V8 driving 444-inch Super Swamper tires via titanium axles. The cabin had space for a driver and one passenger. In addition to performance and protection, this Batmobile was also capable of attack, with a pair of machine guns mounted in the nose of the car between the front wheels. The Batmobile returned in The Dark Knight, with a few features that were not seen in Begins. First was a remote control system, allowing it to work separately from Batman. The Tumbler had the ability to jettison the bulk of itself to provide a single-seat escape vehicle for Batman. In this case, the resulting Batpod was an open motorcycle-like vehicle formed by the front wheels and suspension. Power was generated by a pair of electric motors mounted in the wheels and synced via an onboard computer. The wheels were mounted on rotating frames, which created a more stable ride and allowed for more extreme maneuvers while keeping the rider upright. The Batpod was more than just an escape vehicle and was armed with machine guns, cannons, and grappling hooks. Launching the Batpod also initiated a self-destruct sequence in the remains of the Tumbler, ensuring that no one can reverse engineer the technology or trace it back to its source. Ben Affleck became the new Batman for 2016's Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. As with previous movies, a new Batman meant a new Batmobile. On creating the car, production designer Patrick Tatopoulos said his goal was to return the Batmobile to a gothic, classic look. The car was a low, flat machine officially spec'd at 20 feet long, 12 feet wide, and weighing in at 7,000 pounds. Its primary weapon is a twin .50 caliber retractable machine gun turret, with other weapons including harpoons, spiked coils, chemical irritants, a charged surface, and sonic repellent. For defense, this Batmobile is fully armored with both passive and active anti-ballistic systems in addition to its stealth capabilities, electronic and physical countermeasures, smokescreen, and a scatter shield. Further enhancing its capabilities, it has night vision mode, sonar, toxin scan, and various surveillance options. To allow maximum flexibility in its duties, the suspension can be adjusted for street and off-road driving. Later that same summer, it made a brief cameo in Suicide Squad as part of a flashback involving a chase between Batman, Joker, and Harley Quinn. It appeared again in 2017's Justice League, further modified to be used in the assault against Steppenwolf's stronghold. That was not to be this Batmobile's final appearance though. In 2021's Zack Snyder's Justice League, it received additional screen time including an expanded role in the assault. Originally scheduled for release in June 2021, the Batman has been delayed until March 2022 due to COVID-19. Like the Batman himself, this Batmobile was designed to strike fear into the hearts of anyone it pursues. Its basic shape is that of a classic muscle car, with Coke bottle sides, a flat grille, and a traditional hardtop roofline. Similar to the Tumbler, it is powered by a reciprocating V8 engine for normal power and an auxiliary rear-mounted jet for high-speed bursts. But it lacks much of the refinement of that machine. Bursts of blue flame, red glowing panels, and quad yellow-tinted headlights illuminate raw armor plating and exposed reinforcements, with a bellowing exhaust note that makes it more animalistic than other movie cars. Its overall feel is much like the pre-No Man's Land Batmobile. In addition to its intimidation factor, this is a very capable car. It easily catches up to and overtakes a Maserati Quattroporte, despite having enough armor plating to make it entirely resistant to small arms fire. It handles weaving in and out of oncoming traffic, dodging larger obstacles, is fireproof, and is capable of surviving enough of a vertical leap to clear a semi-truck. Internal gadgetry is relatively sparse, with only a basic, for Batman, communications setup.